This is probably going to surprise you because your entire life you've heard me complaining about being drafted into the Army. I'd say stuff like, those 3 years in the service, mostly a waste. But now as I've aged, I'm seeing more value in it. In my training as an Army intelligence officer, I learned 3 pretty good lessons. 1, use the library. The United States is a pretty open society. Often the answer is hiding in plain sight. 2, can you help me? Those 4 magic words can unlock a lot of secrets. Many people want to appear knowledgeable and be helpful, even when they probably shouldn't. 3, what's wrong with this picture? If someone in a sensitive or powerful position appears to be living wildly beyond their means, it could pay to dig deeper. In Vietnam, I was assigned to a unit that briefed the generals on various topics. We were also the go-to place for jobs that nobody else knew how to do or wanted to do. On one occasion, the top general was heard to wonder aloud, wonder how all those illegal opiates are getting into Vietnam. My boss, a 2-star general, interpreted this as a request for a formal briefing. And that particular excrement flowed downhill to me. I told my boss, this is impossible. We had no internet, of course, and there was a post library and all the materials on that topic were hopelessly out of date. Nevertheless, needed to produce a 20-minute briefing with slides. Yes, sir. So I started working the phones. On my 7th phone call, someone gave me an address downtown. Turned out it was a small building near the U.S. Embassy. When I walked in and explained what I wanted, the receptionist freaked. I had stumbled across the counterintelligence headquarters for the Army's internal war on drugs. Oops. He said, get out of here. Do not talk about what you saw or think you saw here. Sure. Yeah, it didn't show his top secret unit in a terribly favorable light. If someone like me could find it in 7 phone calls. The briefing that I produced wound up being pretty terrible. It included one 20-year-old slide of a heroin lab in Bangkok, antique. During the briefing, the top general squirmed and looked at the ceiling. I was mildly embarrassed, and my 2-star general boss had some egg on his face. What's the lesson? Orders from on high can be misunderstood if underlings lack the courage to ask questions. The poop flowed down to me on another occasion when a couple of guys from the CIA in Washington were passing through, and I was assigned to give them a briefing on the great progress being made in pacifying the small villages in Vietnam called hamlets. So each hamlet was given a security rating of 1 through 5. It was all compiled in an annual report. And of course, it showed constant progress year to year. And everyone knew it was all bullshit. I managed to slip out of that one by pleading poor acting skills. I persuaded my boss that it would be much better if one of the guys in our unit with a really gung-ho attitude toward the war was assigned to give that briefing. It worked. Lesson here, sometimes you can negotiate your way out of a really crappy job, even if you're pushing back against somebody who outranks you by quite a few pay grades. You know, I made some lifelong friends in the Army, and I collected a treasure trove of cocktail party stories with Army punchlines. So on second thought, and in 2020 hindsight, maybe it wasn't so bad after all.